What's up guys, my name is Andreas. Today I'll be breaking down my favorite shots. Okay, so this is a shot from my Meyer video. This was so hard to do.
As you probably can see, Oslo is a pretty depressing place in January.
I was going to film myself talk to the camera, but I didn't just want to film myself talking because I think that's kind of boring. I wanted the shot to be more interesting. So I decided to go out on the street and make the world around me freeze while I was moving through the frame. In my head, for some reason, I just thought it would be easy to just mask myself out and kind of just freeze frame the background. The first thing to notice is that this is shot on a tripod. And this is like the only way to do this shot is to shoot it on a tripod, because if you had the camera moving, it would be impossible to match up the movement between the tram and the people walking and me. I actually shot this twice because it was sunny the first day I tried it, and I realized that there was like a lot of shadows like here from me and like the tram, and I couldn't like get the masking to work, so I had to like come back another day when it was like overcast and soft shadows. And this is what I ended up with. It's like 5 layers of shots combined together. It's not hard to do. It's more like you have to put in the time and effort to actually pull it off. So I had to like take the shot of this guy and cut him out while he walks, and then I freeze frame in, and I do the same for this woman, and I do the same for the tram. When everything is like freezed, I had to like roto myself walking into the frame, and this took like a day. There's like a rotoscope tool in After Effects, which is the software I'm using. But it didn't work because of the building. There was like a lot of contrast points, so I had to do the whole rotoscoping by hand. It was so hard to get like the fingers here right, and especially my snapback, because it was like it was the same color as this wall. It's kind of easy to do. You just have to put in the like actual like time to do it. Because I spent like honestly like 4 hours I think on my hand just getting it right, and I still to this day like see the flickering like on the mask because it was so hard to do it frame by frame. I don't shoot audio on my camera usually because I'm too lazy. So I had to like, and obviously I couldn't bring like a mic into this shot, so I had to like dub it as well, like do like a voiceover afterwards. I don't think it even lines up with what I'm saying, but there's so much happening.
As you probably can see, Oslo is a pretty depressing place in January. It's usually cold and dark.
I spent about 45 minutes shooting this. I guess it helps since it was cloudy. Light is moving so fast during winter in Norway, so if I spend too much time on one take, it would look like weird with the tram shot because the light would change basically. I think what's really sells it is the snow is CG. Like I bought this stock footage of snow falling. I guess you can see like these snowflakes, and they also freeze in the frame when everything else freezes. The snow is like in front of me, so it kind of like blends everything together. I think that's really cool as well, because just the fact that it's like shot in the cloudy weather, it's like soft shadows. It's really hard to see the edges of the mask because everything is so soft. When you know that you're going to do like rotoscoping or cutting someone out of a frame, usually you would shoot like with a 180 shutter. That's actually not good when you're doing a lot of VFX. The 180 shutter rule is like first rule you learn that the motion blur is like looks the best in 180, but I don't think necessarily it's so hard to like do visual effects on. I would highly recommend shooting at 135 or even like 90. This is like the settings on my camera. So the shutter on your camera decides how much motion blur you get in your shot, and the higher the number, the more motion blur you get, and the lower you go, like 135, 90, the more crisp everything gets. And imagine if you had to like cut out this, it would probably just be a blur and impossible to cut out. You don't want motion blur when you're shooting stuff like this, because you want to be able to see the edges of your hand, and you want every edge to be clean so that it's easier to mask out. If this was shot on 180 shutter, the tram, when I freeze framed it, would probably be just super blurry, like around the edges because of the motion blur. You can even see that it's like a little blurry, and it wouldn't look good because you're freezing the frame. So it would make sense that it's like motion blur on a freeze frame because it's like supposed to stand still. Okay, perfect. Nice. Every shot that I go through today, I'm going to say is very easy to do, but this is the easiest shot. It's essentially just a bunch of jump cuts. The first thing I started with is just like a clean plate of the table, just the table and nothing there. Take a shot of the table. I put in the candle holder. In visual effects, I'm gonna like make it look like it's popping onto the table. And I gave it like a little push so that it's like it's wiggling back and forth. And I think that's what really sells this. So there's like the table that I get like a shot of first, and then I took a shot of the candle holder. There's actually like a soft like mask around this, and that's the jump cut. I take the clip of the candlelight holder and I just put it on top of the empty table, and I just draw a mask around the candlelight holder. And I did the same thing for this plant right here. And I also gave that like a little push so that it wobbles when it spawns. To get like the spinning motion of the first frames, and I just took like a screenshot of the candlelight holder. I drew a mask around the candle holder, and I just set like a keyframe. Like I scaled it from 0 to 100% to its original scale. And if you go frame by frame, you can see, it just comes out of nothing, basically. And I also keyframed like a slight rotation to it, so it kind of not only scales up, but it spins while scaling, and then I just add motion blur to it. It matches so well with the wobbling. This wouldn't be impressive if it was like just one jump cut. I think the way it's edited it just goes so fast that it's hard to like realize that it's jump cuts. So I shoot everything on my Red camera. This camera is like almost 15 years old. The good thing about this being so old and so good is that you can actually get it for a pretty fair price. This is like almost like a Nintendo 64, where you have to like blow on the card hole here to like before you insert the memory card, and I can turn it on. You can hear how much noise it makes. It's funny because I shoot everything on this lens. I think a lot of people expect me to have like a lot of lenses, but I'm so used to filming on low budgets that this is like the only lens I have, and I just rent stuff if I need it. But like 95% of all of my shots in my vlogs are shot on this lens, and it's so funny. I have this ND filter that has been with me for like so many years, and it even has like it's hard to see, but it has like scratches and stuff. But I don't know. I'm too lazy to buy a new one. This was like the first video I was like, okay, I'm gonna start like actually experimenting with lighting and try to light everything myself. Because before that, I felt like I wasn't that good at lighting. This is shot during winter, so I only had like a 5-hour window with like daylight. It's just like one lamp outside on my balcony. To make the light look the most like the sun would, had to get the angle right of the light. So I just put it up as high as I could, like on my balcony, and just shine the light through the window. And I also shot it like the classical way, like you want to have light like in the back and to make it look the most cinematic, and shadows like on the front. There was no diffusion on the light. It was just a lamp, because the sun is like really hard and casts really hard shadows. So I just tried to mimic that, but it's so hard to like make it look like the sun is actually shining through. Let me know in the comments if you think it looks like the sun. Okay. Wow. This is also a shot from my Year video. For some reason, a lot of people like this one. This is a shot from a music video that I filmed for some friends of mine, like this rap group named Rock Boys. It's a Fight Club inspired music video that I thought was really cool, and I want to show it like in my Year video. I wish I had like storyboarded it and planned for it, but it was like, this was more like, okay, I'm gonna show, in this segment, I'm gonna show the music video that I made. How can I make this look cool? And I thought it'd be fun to do the blood on the keyboard. This is the way I did it. There's like one shot where this guy is punching this other guy, and there's like blood splatting, and I wanted to like integrate that shot into like another shot and make it look like blood was coming out of the computer, basically. I do have mixed feelings about it, because I spent so much time trying to make it look good, and eventually I just kind of gave up because I just thought it looked halfway good. This is shot on 1.8 stop to get like the blurriness here, even on the lamp, and even here. And this was kind of a mistake, because it was so hard to get the blood to like look right. Like even here, there's like a focus difference. Like there's like blurry here, and there's blurry here, and there's like supposed to be like sharpness here, but it's hard to like tell. But basically what I did is that I shot this, as you see it, just a laptop, and I just kept the screen here just black, and I just put in the video of the guy hitting the other person, all done in After Effects. Very easy to do. Sometimes when you film screens, like the color looks weird, and if you add this in post, you have much more control of like the framing and how fast everything is playing. I bought this blood stock footage for like $20. In After Effects, you can make layers 3D, so you can have your footage, and then there's this button you can click on, and you can like rotate like the clip around. So what I did is that I just took the blood footage, and I just placed it like this, sort of, so that it looks like the blood is here. And it was like all about just trying to match with the timing. But this looked so bad for so long because it was so hard to get like the blurriness right, and because there's light coming from this lamp. What I did was that I drew a mask around the blood, brought up the brightness, and added some warmer tones to it. And I did the opposite thing for this side of the blood to add shadows. So I took the shadows down and desaturated it a little bit. And I think that made it look better. But I still think it looks kind of funny. But I think it's like such a cool idea that it works. And it's so unexpected in a way. Nice. Let's get out of this. Ooh. This is a pretty old shot. It's from 2019.
So this was our first time flying private. Everyone was super excited, but we tried to play it cool and to not make a big deal out of it.
Looking back at this, actually surprised of how good it looks. This shot is kind of inspired by Grand Theft Auto 5. If you play the game, when you switch characters, the play camera goes up in the air and it kind of moves to a new location. And this is kind of what I'm trying to do here. The way we did this was that we shot on a drone in a street. It's supposed to be me walking with this bag, but it's actually not me. It's a friend of mine because I had to fly the drone. And then I went to the same location on Google Maps, and I basically took a screenshot of the same street. And I kind of lined up the footage so that I can zoom out of the drone shot and make it look like the drone is like flying away. So this is like a bunch of screenshots just to keep the quality good. This is like a screenshot. This is like a screenshot. This is like a screenshot. And then it's like a screenshot here. And I've basically just like stitched all of this together. And the reason I'm doing this is that when you zoom all the way in, you want the quality to be the best. Because if I only did like this big screenshot and I zoomed in on the same street, it would just be pixelated. So I'm just blending in all the screenshots just to keep the quality consistent. This is all done in After Effects. I just overlay the screenshot of the street and I just blend the edges, so it's harder to see like the edges of the drone footage. But at the same time, I'm also moving the camera up like I'm doing here, and I'm adding motion blur. As you can see, there's like motion blur here. So it's a lot harder to like see like the actual seams of where the stitches are. It really helps hiding the edges. I found like some free cloud PNG files, which I added in post as well. In After Effects, you can control this virtual camera. You make all of these like screenshots a 3D layer. I'm having a person working here with the luggage. I have this virtual camera that I just pull up into the air, and then I just place like the cloud layers higher up into the frame so that it looks like we're passing the clouds. The clouds sort of work as like a transition wipe over to the next shot in a way. As you can see, it's the same cloud that I'm just copying over and over again, and the background is just another image that I found on Google of a sky basically. The camera moves forward again towards the plane. The plane element was a free element. It's the shittiest 3D model you can find, and I just put it in there using this plugin for After Effects called Element 3D, and I just tried to like do the end part of the camera like flying into the plane really fast, because if you go frame by frame, you can see that it looks really, really bad. Like the angle isn't even right. All of the layers except for the plane is like, it's 2D, it's not 3D. It's just 2D images of the clouds, but I'm just putting him into like the environment to make it look like there's like depth. Okay, last shot. The most complicated thing about this whole shot is like getting the actual private jet. We were basically really lucky because we're good friends with this DJ named Alan Walker, and he invited us and like a bunch of his friends and my friends onto this private jet. And this was I just brought my camera for fun, and 95% of what you're seeing here is real. My brother is just holding the Mac here. This glass here obviously is held by Valera here. This backpack is being held by Mio, my friend, and everyone is just pretending to be in 0G as I'm tilting the camera up. I didn't think that this was gonna work. For some reason, it just looks incredibly like real. I added like these fake like cans, like soda cans, and this is just a PNG of like headphones, just to add some more objects. Besides like these two things, it's all real. It ended up being probably one of the best vlogs that I've ever made, because we just like everything you see is improvised in the video. This is shot in 5K on 95 frames per second. The reason I shoot 5K is because the camera, this is the maximum resolution of my camera. And it also gives me like the full sensor. I always want to film as much as possible, like the biggest frame. The thing about RED cameras is that whenever you go down on resolution on RED cameras, you crop the sensor. So if I want to shoot 4K, this is kind of what that would look like. So you kind of miss out on all this information. So if I had to shoot this in like 4K instead of 5K, you probably would like have to cut it like around here. So you wouldn't be able to see this, which is like essential, I think. And the reason we're shooting slow-mo is because when things is like in 0G, it looks cooler when it's slow motion. It looks more realistic. When I played this back on a plane after filming it, I was like, why does it look so real? Honestly, I have no idea. I think it's because of the frame rate, because it's slow motion, but also like the acting and like people actually going all in on the 0G. Also, the people in the background really helps as well. I mean, this is a shot you can do at home, except you need like the private jet, which we were like really lucky to get. So that was some of my favorite shots. I hope you had a good time and learned something from it. Thanks for watching. Did this just turn on? That's so funny. Yeah, so my camera also lives, like, has its own life. It turns itself on and everything.